hello.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, without samples, I just can't say, my sir. I am sorry.
I understand. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. I'm sorry I don't have better news.
There you are. Thank you for coming so quickly. I don't think that's the right word for it. Yes? Rodus Trevian. I still remember when he was first hired in the trading post. Similar to the way you were. Do you remember him? He led the caravan that was ambushed by those assassins. Rodus was an urchin child from the Undercity. But unlike the others, he chose to fight his way out of his misery. Eventually, he made it into the Sickle. He was a disciplined, honest young man. Yet despite all his ambition, he never sought to surpass his path. He was a good person, always striving, yet with deep respect for tradition. There aren't many young people like that these days. I still remember when I granted him the Sickle's badge, 4 winters ago. He was so proud. I know it was you that brought it back to the trading post. I think it would have meant a lot to him, knowing that it isn't rotting somewhere in the desert sands. Suffice it to say, there has been a disquieting development. Yes? We've found traces of poison in some of the corpses. Traces of Kalayan poison. You say that so lightly. I think it's about time you learn the whole truth about this cooperation between us and the Kalayans. The reason the Blue Island Coalition is here is a bargain. Have you ever heard of the Green Scarabaeus, the idol of Morala? The goddess of Kile, yes. The Scarabaeus is made of a very rare gem that makes it one of the most valuable jewels in the civilized world. Well, as you might have figured, it was originally a Kalayan who possessed it. Ralius Davul, to be precise, the founder of the Blue Island Coalition himself, and at that time, one of the richest men on Vin. Yes, I will spare you the details of how that came to be, but be assured that it was the result of hard and path-abiding work, something that is foreign to those dark-skinned cutthroats. However, the Blue Island Coalition contacted us about 6 moons ago, shortly after the Kalayan Civil War was over. They want to buy the idol from us. A big one. Let's leave it at that. It is. To be honest, if circumstances were different, I would have never agreed. The fact that the Kalayans, in all their greed, were forced to sell the symbol of their own goddess is almost an allegory for the way of living. But I suppose you also know that our country, Enderal, has seen better times. And of course, all those unfortunate developments in the past years have affected the Sickle too. And before you ask, it is not as if we have to fear for our existence. But there are certain expenses we simply have to cover. In other words, we need the money. Yes. Have you ever been to the Undercity? The house of the Apothecari? The pest house, as it is lovingly called. The Sickle maintains it. And with the current economical situation, we might be forced to shut it down soon. We do our duty. That the Sickle respects the righteous path is not just some dull phrase. And from this day, this land shall be your new home, and the threads of which Enderal's future shall be woven rest in your hands. Book 12, verse 93. Being of righteous path also means taking responsibility for society as a whole. Rhoda certainly helped me see the Undercity with different eyes, yes. But that's not all. Yes. Unfortunately, it isn't, no. You are. It was foolish. But we thought a regular caravan would be less likely to draw attention. It was a mistake. I'm responsible for many good men and women that are now dead, including Rhoda's. But be that as it may, we owe it to them to find the one who did this. And if the Blue Island Coalition really is behind it, then... You're right, but we have to be sure. Correct. We have to reconstruct the poison, and that's why I need you. It's called Dal'Varek, and it's made of 3 substances: Netherland thistles, dust maggot stingers, and dawnflower extract. According to the apothecarius, the thistles can be found in Golden Forest, and the stingers anywhere in the Powder Desert. Dawnflowers don't grow in Enderal, so you might have to try your luck with one of the traveling merchants in Duneville. Here, this should cover your expenses. And you have my word. If you help the Sickle in this matter, your reward will be generous. That's an admirable attitude. Here's a list of the ingredients. This should be self-evident, but still. Not a single word to the Kalayans, understood? Rash accusations without any evidence to back it up could prove, disastrous. Good luck, Protector. What about him? My relationship? What do you mean by that? Substitute son? By the righteous path, you say what is on your mind, I'll give you that. But truth be told, it's a welcome change from all those bootlickers who I usually deal with. Rhoda's here. You know, if I take a look at this world as it is these days, I see so many things going wrong. Hardly anyone still respects the righteous path, save for the usual verbiage. And for some reason, they all believe they deserve a good life without having to work for it. When I grew up, it was different. Yes, I was born a sublime, but I grew up knowing that our entire life is a trial. Walking the righteous path, it is a struggle, and it requires effort and discipline. Rhodas saw that. He kept on going despite his fate. In a way, he was the living proof that virtue and true path abidingness are not tied to condition, so to speak. But that doesn't mean I treated him any differently, and he would not have expected me to either. Whoever hired these sellswords will pay, no matter the price.
Greetings.
Madame? Madame? Yes? Madame?
Too easy on the scum.
Yes?
War on Nerum. War on Kile. Red madness. The fuck is wrong with this world? Walk blessed, my child. How may I help you? What it is? Now that's quite the question you're asking there. But fine, why not? The path is two things. For one, it is the name of holy writing that encompasses both the revelation of the Lightborn after the fall of the Eterna King Azataron, and the journey of the first vassals to Enderal, who founded this country under Malphas's guidance. It also tells us the virtue of the path, the ideals by which every Endralean should live, which is the only way to salvation. Secondly, it is the holy calling of each Endralean citizen. Yes, only a people united in flesh and spirit shall prevail throughout the ages. Verse 39. There's the path of the manufacturers, whose hard work provides for the iron and food of our people. Then there's the path of the erudites, who follow professions that require higher knowledge, such as scribery and alchemy. And then there are the sublime, who were born to lead our country. Within one's path, a person is free to choose, but to cross those borders is almost always blasphemy. There are exceptions in which a soul's destiny unveils only later in its life. For example, there was Laura Mortarblade, who was born to the manufacturer's path, but who became one of the most fabled keepers of Enderal. But they are what they are, exceptions. Yes. Now don't tell me you've never heard of that before. It is recounted the same way in the entire civilized world. It was the Lightborn who saved this world from the chaos it fell into after Azataron's death. Yes, Enderal was, other than countries such as Nerim, Kira, or wherever you come from, an uncharted land. It was Malphas himself who showed a young couple, Selna and Keteron, and their followers the way to Enderal. But it would take far too long to recite that entire tale, and I doubt you have that much time. If you are interested in their journey, I suggest you read The Path. It is good for the soul anyway, even for an outlander. You are welcome, child. Walk blessed.
Hello.
Of course. Have a good day.
Yes?
What do you want? Just what?
Walk blessed, but please, not across my field, will you?
Coming from Ark, aren't you? I can tell. You got that city smell about. No offense.
there! Now! By the prophet's ass! 1 second later and I would have been scraping your remains off the floor. What in blazes are you doing here anyway? Let's put it this way. I know how to hide when I don't want to be seen. And concerning the explosion, you stepped right into a Kyranian dust crystal. Get a little too close and wait a little too long, and you'll have your ass blown around your ears by an explosion that would put any cannon to shame. Lashiri? Oh my. The fellow really isn't one for names, is he? I'm Lashari, but never mind that. At least it proves you're not lying. Anyhow, I hope you're not the backup I asked for. I was hoping for someone more, impressive. No offense. Is that so? Indeed. You have some uncontrolled magic inside you. And quite a lot of uncontrolled magic. Not bad. I've never felt anything like this before. Very well. If Constantine insists, I will perform the ritual on you. But it'll have to wait, since I'm up to my neck in this shit, as you've probably noticed. Short version or long version? Which do you prefer? Fine. I suppose you already know that that is me, my assistant, 2 Arcanists, and 4 Keepers, are here to do research on, well, on something, which is exactly what we've done these past weeks. But, as I went upstairs to get something a couple hours ago, I suddenly heard screaming and the clanging of metal coming from downstairs. As I looked for cover, I saw these 2 shapes in red robes vanishing into the lower parts of the ruin. I have no idea who they are or why they're here, but to me, they look like mercenaries. Anyway, fact is, my esteemed Enderalayan colleagues and my assistant are still down there, together with our research, and I want them back. And before you ask, yes, you can help me. You'll have to, actually, if you want me to tame your magic. I wouldn't have a chance fighting the mercenaries by myself, but the 2 of us might be able to do it, provided you can defend yourself, which I'm quite sure you can. What do you say? Are you ready? Oh, that's hard to explain. But part of it is finding the answer to the universal question. Why do some people have the nerve to ask irrelevant questions when shit is going down around them? After we've cleaned up the mess, we can do this whole, who are you and what are you doing here thing if you want to. But this really isn't the time. No idea. But I don't think there are more than a dozen. Also, they don't anticipate any resistance, which is to our advantage. Fine, then follow me. And keep your weapons ready. I think I just heard footsteps down there.
Told her not to fall for it.
Wait. Shit. You were right. Get them!
Stabbed like a pig. Hang on. What's this? The prophet's ass. I don't believe it. They're orders. My assistant, Sev. It seems he's the reason these fuckers managed to take us by surprise. Save it for Sev when I shove this staff up his ass and fire a thunderbolt. Shit, can you smell that? That's fire. So, these guys really are trying to destroy our research. We have to do something. You're adept at magic, right? Take this spell and use it to put out the fires. If I'm right, the mercenaries are trying to destroy the stone fragments, and we have to stop them. You take the lower part of the ruin. Try to save as many stones as you can. I'll take the upper part, and when it's all done, we'll meet here again. Oh, and one more thing. If you should find my assistant Sev down there, try to take him alive and bring him to me. I want to take care of him myself, okay? Then let's get going.
fun.
Well, I'll be damned. That's what I call good timing. I take it you were successful? What about the fragments? Did you save them? All of them? Call me a pregnant Lyran. You really are good at what you do. You won't regret it, I swear. What about Sev? Did you find him? Fuck. That little shit. I was hoping I could make him tell us who's behind all this. Well, whatever. No use crying over spilt milk, I guess. What's your name, anyway? Amidst all this, we didn't have time for formalities. You're pleased? Well, that's good to hear. I actually had the feeling that I was a little rough on you. Sorry for that, really. Sometimes I just have a short fuse. Anyway, let's talk about the reason you're here. For starters, tell me how you managed to get the old ranter to trust you. That doesn't happen very often. I've got time. Uh-huh. So, you're saying that you learned all this, the magic, the swordplay, in such a short time? That's fascinating, to say the least. And these visions, if I understand correctly, you foresaw the death of the two apothecary? It does indeed. But hey, who am I to judge? Here you are, the mysterious stranger who appeared out of thin air and, without much fuss, took out an entire group of sellswords. And even better, now you tell me that these skills come from studying magic for only a couple of weeks, and that you can see the future. You certainly are full of shit. Not you, sorry. I mean, I just had a strange thought. But no, that would be crazy. Way too unlikely. Well, I'd like to speak freely, but I'm bound to my agreement with the Holy Order. However, I will tell Constantine and old Aranthiel about my theory. And you will probably have to be patient until the latter decides to put you in the picture. Sorry. But if my idea is correct, then we'll be in a position to really kick ass. Anyway, hold still for a moment. Ready? All right, let's do this. Don't worry, it'll just tickle a bit. Fuck! Are you all right? That wasn't on purpose. Really. Sorry, as I said, I didn't mean to do that. I have no idea what just happened. The ritual isn't exactly harmless, but normally you shouldn't feel more than a weak tickle at most, regardless of how it goes down. But, maybe this has something to do with the strangeness of your aura. I already said this, but it's so different. It's hard to explain. Somehow complex and cold, maybe. But hey, I'm probably just out of practice. It worked, and that's what matters. Your fever will now settle down to an endurable level, and maybe even vanish if you're careful. And now, I suggest you return to Constantine. I will get the stones to safety in the meantime. You need anything else? If not, see you later. We're going to meet again. I can feel it. Well, put simply, they're supposed to protect us. But old Aranthiel will tell you more about it later. Take care.
Look at that. A fellow traveler. Ha! Greetings. You have? Well, sure. Let me see. Or tell me what you need. Walk. You have? Well, sure. Let me see. Or tell me what you need.
Walk blessed.
What?
Yes? Madame? Yes? Yes?
Huh? Can I help you?
Watch yourself. The streets aren't safe this time of the day. This is holy ground, Outlander. You do not belong.
Have you heard it? Apparently the Blue Islands Coalition sent an emissary here to Enderal, despite the wars. They are bold. You've got to give them that. Why? What's that?
I don't know, but I think it's about the tome he wanted you to transcribe.
Ah, I thought... Well, never mind. Hey, by the way, have you seen this new Neremise mage woman? Pegas, or whatever her name was.
I've heard about her, yes. She's the Scarab, isn't she?
Yes, that's what she looks like at least. But she's from Austria, just like that Messier Firespark and Coleman Sharin. Honestly, I don't know what to think of all of this. Wild mages here in the temple? Malphus bless the Grandmaster, but... where's this supposed to lead us?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But don't worry so much. I'm certain the Grandmaster knows what he's doing. Now go, before the Magister comes to get you himself.
Yes, of course. Walk blessed, sister.
You're always so formal.
Yes. This is holy ground, Outlander. You do not belong.
This is holy ground, Outlander. You don't belong here.
Well met.
move along.
This just doesn't make any sense. What? Can't it ever be easy? All of them. Yes. Yes, that might work. Blazes, I just can't bloody believe it. Walk blessed. Blazes, I just can't bloody believe it.
Huh?
Now, if it isn't the prodigy, well... Oh, that's hard to tell. Most of the time I was with Narethzul's order in the Kabet Mountains. But when I was younger, I used to travel a lot, not only in Nerim. What about you? Which idiots did you have the misfortune to be raised by? The foolhardy rebels up north? The bootlicking pawns of the Chancellor in the Middle Realm? Or the fanatic, mask-wearing cultist oafs down south? Ostian, I see. A beautiful piece of earth, actually. But these sodding cultists and their creator have done their best to make it a living nightmare. Truth be told, it was them who made me join Narethzul's fight against religion back in the days. I was a young traveling arcanist then, and wanted to make some money in Ostian's arena. Fight some rabid animals, oh, you know the story. I had heard a lot about Nerim's south, and imagined a place at the pulse of life. Exotic music, adventure, beautiful women. But you know who greeted me when I reached the city gates? Corpses. They burnt their skin off, and then nailed them to crosses. There were at least 50 of them. Men, women, children. And they were set up at the roadside like trees in an alley. It was atrocious. The smell of burnt meat everywhere. The screams of those who still lived, and all of it only because some fool has decided that they had somehow acted against their god. I still dream of it sometimes. Well, that was when I declared war on religion. I was so sick of seeing people cutting each other's throats only because they project their own personal problems into some holy scripture or higher power. And that's not even the worst part. They're beyond reason. Why are you doing this, I asked them. Because my God told me to. What's left to say there? You can essentially justify anything with that logic. This is why this place makes me sick. We need the Order's manpower. They need our knowledge about the Piraeans, and we both do want the same thing, yes. But philosophy and freedom of thought are nowhere to be found. It's pathetic. Yes, and no. On the one hand, yes, a happy person will most likely never become a murderer, no matter if he or she follows the teachings of this creator or some Quiranian philosopher. But if something happens to this person, hunger, fear, shattered dreams, a peaceful ideology can make all the difference. What is religion, after all? It's a guide to live life, a set of values. And even if it's just one line in the Holy Scripture that says, "Kill the infidels," how likely is it that a broken man will interpret it in a peaceful way? If you want a justification to spill blood, you will find it. If your religion was ambivalent to begin with, even better. There's a lot of discussion about that on Kira. And it drives me mad to hear people prattling on about how it's all a matter of interpreting the scripture in different ways. Blazes, if your ideology is so peaceful, why does it say, "slayeth this, slayeth that," rather than just get along? It's pathetic. Yes, go on. Try to justify a massacre like the one in Ostian with a philosophy that consists of only two principles and nothing more. Respect those around you, and killing is bad regardless of the motives. Good luck. Especially if people don't keep to themselves with it. Oh, don't tell Lucy that. Altogether it's her, Yuslan, me, and 2 acolytes. Yuslan is probably the most gifted entropist of the civilized world, and I doubt there's anyone who knows more about the Pyreans than Lucy. Oh, do you really need me to answer that? Just take a look around. There are all sorts of great historical writings on us here. We're a bunch of bloodthirsty heretics who followed Tenor Aranthiel's deluded son into the war against the gods, who gloriously defeated us in the Battle of Zaramar. Naratzul was locked into an old tower, and those of us who remained cowardly fled into the Neremes Mountains, and have since then terrorized and plotted against the poor people of the civilized world by all means necessary. Oh, and did I forget to mention that we eat babies for breakfast? Well, now I have. Sorry. I suppose I just shouldn't have read that much Enderalian literature on the subject. If there's someone who deserves an award for biased misrepresentation of the facts, it's the buffoons who run this place. Yes, I know. She's already told me everything. Good work, even though part of her report seemed to be a bit enthusiastic. But I'll leave the judgment to Aranthiel. He wants to talk to you anyway. Seems you've caught his interest. Didn't I tell you that already? He's the highly esteemed, holy Grand Master of the Order. Tilor Aranthiel, son of Lorius I, praised be his name. An old legend, risen from the dead, or something like that. In the Emporium, the last building on the left side of the temple. Just tell the guard that Aranthiel has asked for you, and they will let you in. Ah yes, before I forget. My dame Lucy has left a token of gratitude for you. It's your choice. Do you want a book, an old map, or a bag of pennies? Very well. Now get a move on. I'm sure we'll talk again later.
Walk blessed. Oh, yes. Guess what? There is. Some people just don't get the meaning of the word reliability. Huh. You're not from the Order, are you? Then I wonder what the blazes you're doing here. But, fine. Who am I to reject a helping hand? Elia, the novice who was assigned to me, she's supposed to help me transcribe these Pyrian tomes the Grand Master is so obsessed about. But 2 days ago, she simply vanished. If I were to guess, I'd say she's strolling around enjoying herself somewhere in the Nobles' Quarter. I'd go look myself, but I'm lucky if I get to breathe within all this work. Go find her, and tell her to get her bloody ass up here and help me. If you do that, it won't be to your disadvantage.
Yes.
Transcribe verse 80 100 times. Have you heard? Apparently the Blue Islands Coalition sent an emissary here to Enderal. Despite the wars. They are bold. You gotta give them that.
It is a suspicion, Tila. And to send an entire division across the sea because of a suspicion is madness.
We need to find out who sent the mercenaries. This Pegast said that they were after the Signet Stone, and if they succeed in getting hold of it next time, then the Black Guardian alone knows how to stop them. Cycle.
The cycle. Listening to you talk almost makes me forget that all this fuss here is merely based on some bad dreams you and your Neremese friends had.
The threat is real. Deny it as much as you like, but deep inside, you feel it as much as I do.
Tila, you're a commander, and a commander doesn't care about feelings, but about facts. You have made this mistake before, Tilor, back then in Kira.
Natara, the mission will happen. I'm sorry.
You have a visitor.
So, you are the prodigy everyone is talking about. Interesting. I am Tealor Aranthiel, son of Lorius I and Grandmaster of the Order, and I'm honored to meet you. What is your name? Yes, and I will come straight to the point. You are here because I believe that you are special. Humanity faces a threat that needs to be stopped, and to achieve this, you are indispensable. Among other things, yes. I do not need to explain to you that the present situation on Veen is chaotic. The wars, the living dead, common people who are losing their minds, to name only the most obvious. What most people are not aware of is the connection between these events. You, however, have encountered it, as have I. I do. And I will explain everything to you. What it means, who we are, and what your part in all of this is. Come, follow me. Maybe you already know who I am. My entire life, I served the gods who ruled Vin, until their death 2 years ago. What you probably do not know is that the one responsible for their death is my son.
Who are you?
Narazul Aranthial. He hated the Lightborn because he believed that they robbed mankind of their right to freedom, so he strived to overthrow them. He found followers, formed an army and declared war on them, and thus on me, a servant of the Lightborn as well. It all ended in a battle 30 years ago, which Narazul won. He killed every single survivor except for me, and locked me in a dungeon on Nerim. I still do not know why he spared me. There were circumstances favoring the development, but it's a long story which we won't discuss now. Good question. Because at the moment stability is the highest good, even more so considering what we are facing. The rulers of Kira and Kile both made the mistake to acknowledge the death of the gods to their people, and the civil wars that followed in their countries are evidence of the chaos that such a revelation entails. Enderal is the cradle of the Order of the Gods, the epitome of theocracy. It is unthinkable what would happen if we confirmed these rumors. I am sure you understand this. Maybe when all this is over that will change, but for now it is imperative that we deny all rumors of that kind. Yes, after more than 30 years, when the death of the gods made the magic around the prison disappear. And during my escape in the northern mountains of Nerim, I also had them for the first time, the dreams. I always saw the same glaring, terrible light, heard screaming, and I felt like I was burning up from the inside. And above all, like a veil, there was the knowledge of imminence. At first, of course, I dismissed these dreams as the delusion of a man close to death. So I concentrated on making it through the mountains somehow. 2 days after my escape, I was completely exhausted, and I would have died if a former acolyte of my son had not found me. Yes, but he did not recognize me, and brought me to their headquarters instead, an old monastery in the mountains. The others were aware of my identity, but for whatever reason they did not kill me. Maybe because they thought that the death of the Lightborn had made me insignificant. I do not know. Still, even after my recovery, the dreams continued. At first, I doubted my sanity, but after some time I told the leader of the mages, Constantine, about them. And he said something that I'd never expected. I was not alone. He, as well as many others, magically gifted on Vin, dreamed the same dreams. And the more we talked about the matter, the stronger our suspicion grew, which has now turned out to be the truth. The dreams, they come from the same place. They are a shared memory. A collective subconscious. Yes, I know that you can feel it too, and probably far more intense than we do. But like you back then, we were not able to make sense of the images. So we went looking for answers in the remains of the civilization that was before us, the Pyreans. 3 things. First, there were many civilizations before us and before the Pyreans. Maybe hundreds, maybe thousands. Second, the history of each civilization unfolded and still unfolds according to a pattern. They emerge, they blossom, and at some point, at the apex of their existence, they simply disappear without any trace. And third, everything that has happened in the past years, and which is still happening, indicates that this disappearance lies ahead of us. We are part of an eternal loop, a cycle, and our cycle is approaching its end. Not identical, but one can split them up into episodes which repeat themselves in the very same manner, into patterns. Yes, dramatically put, they're the envoys of the end. I see why you would say that, and I've felt the same way for a very long time too. But there came a moment when we simply could not deny it anymore. We began to study the history of the Pyreans more intensely, and the parallels were extraordinary. In its early days, the Pyrean Empire was split up by a disaster, just like Vin was split up by the Starfall after the reign of the Eterna. Also, the Pyreans had a ruling caste who declared themselves gods after the catastrophe. The two castes of the Sun Priest. They, too, ruled until they were overthrown. This overthrowing was followed by an outbreak of wars and chaos. And then, just like that, the Pyreans ceased to exist. They knew it was imminent, but they could not prevent it. They called this event the Cleansing. They tried, but they failed. Who knows why? Maybe they found out too late, or maybe they were too weak. That is the question we need to find an answer to. The end was not violent, at least not in a sense as we know it. There was no natural disaster, no magical explosion, no plague. Even though there was war in the Pyrean Empire before its ruin, when the cleansing happened, it was as if all living beings simply fell down and died. It is ghastly. Well, this is the reason why we need your help. Not only episodes of history recur within every cycle, characters do as well. Yes, the Pyreans call them the emissaries. They emerge very shortly before the cleansing occurs, like a law of nature, an answer to the Red Madness. And I am one of them, as are you. While I take on the role of the ruler, you take on the role of the prophetess. It's just a description. Call it what you will. But without doubt, it is the truth. Your story matches the descriptions perfectly. No, as I already said, the emissaries simply appear at the beginning of the end, like pieces on a chessboard. We are determined by our skills. How and to what end we use them is our choice. Yes, former enemies or not, both sides have understood the magnitude of the threat. The magical knowledge of Narazul's former mages is vast, as is the power of the Holy Order. Even though not all of the Keepers agree, as you probably have already noted yourself. I do not know. Firespark the Mage has told me your story. And even though your fate is tragic, unlike me, you were insignificant before your change. So maybe everyone can become an emissary, or we simply have not understood the pattern yet. On the one hand, your power. You carry the potential to master any skill within a fraction of the usual time needed. I assume you have already realized this. On the other hand, your ability to look into the past, and therefore into the future. Your visions are a window into the past. And as every cycle is based on the same events, it is a window into the future as well. You can feel the thread this world is woven with. And because of that, you can see things that have happened, and thus will happen again. This gift makes you indispensable to us, and it is why I want your help. That is the wrong question. The correct question is, what alternative do we have? To wait and die? Good. However, there's one more thing before the actual work begins. I want you to join our order. And to do so, you have to pass a test. A trial. It is. Whatever you think about our story, we are the only faction that is strong enough to oppose the cycle. If you want to be part of our mission, you need to have access to our knowledge and resources. There will be voices in the Order speaking against your admission, as they are speaking against the presence of the Narimese mages. Consider it an honor or a necessity. It is up to you. It is the trial the novices have to pass in order to be exalted to the role of a keeper. Only the best students of the Squalor are allowed admission, and even though you have not been a novice, I want you to take it too. At this very moment, 2 novices are on their way to the testing grounds. I have informed them about your arrival. I have only a slight acquaintance with them. However, I know that they are both very talented and have been working hard toward the test. But see them for yourself. I had a hunch. Let us leave it at that. At the border to the Heartland, near the Whisper Wood. They will be waiting for you there. Take the Myret, talk to Signet Master Baltar, and hand him this package. And then follow his orders. Ah, one more thing. It might be self-evident, but keep your knowledge about the death of the Lightborn to yourself. I do not believe you can do any real harm. But in the worst case, path-abiding people will consider you a heretic. After the cycle has been stopped, we will deliberate upon how we deal with the matter. If and how we tell our people about it. But not now, that is for sure. Now, leave. The sooner we can dispense with this formality, the better.